Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Eddington, and this movie is directed by Ari Aster, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and Pedro Pascal is in it too, as well as Emma Stone and Austin Butler. I was excited to see this movie, not just because it was an A24 film, which I didn't even realize that's what it was until the movie started and the logo started, but my main attraction for this movie was the director Ari Aster, who has made movies that I did like, those being Hereditary, Midsummer, and Beau is Afraid. And all three of those movies I remember enjoying, but I never super connected with any of them. I like all three of those movies for sure, don't get me wrong, but I never loved any of his movies, at least from memory. I haven't seen Hereditary in a long time, and I've only seen each of his movies once. And I did see that this movie was 2.5 hours long. I was like, okay, that's a big runtime. I don't know if I'm going to feel as though the runtime is justified. And watched it, and gotta say, I really love this movie. And it's easily my favorite, even just after one viewing. And I'm excited to see it again. And I could honestly watch this movie again right now. And I doubt I'll be disappointed. And I'm just so excited to talk about this. Everything about it that it was doing, I just really connected with it. And this movie is not necessarily a fast-paced movie. It does take its time, but it does build to something, and it has purpose at the very least. And everything that it's doing, I feel as though it works within the context of everything that it's setting up. And when you do get payoffs, it actually makes sense, and it doesn't feel like it betrays the rest of the movie without spoiling anything. And I thought the performances were great. Joaquin Phoenix did a great job, as always. I don't think I've seen a movie where he did a bad job, honestly. And this movie was no exception. And I'll be honest, from watching the trailers, I didn't even realize that it was him. I thought that was Josh Brolin because he was just so unrecognizable to me. And then I actually watched the movie, and I was like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix. Now I remember you. And he completely disappears into this character as someone who's very anti COVID 19, wearing a mask. He acknowledges it, but he doesn't want to wear a mask. This movie is ultimately just about conflict and what it does to people, or at least that's what I got out of this viewing from watching it, and how it just affects different people. And I really enjoyed that side of it. And the side characters in this movie that were played by big actors like I just named, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, and Austin Butler. They were great to see in this movie, but surprisingly enough, without spoiling anything, they were in the movie a lot less than I thought they would be. And this movie has a very unique structure, I feel, and gets very unpredictable, and it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating, and eventually you get a release, and by that I mean something that stops all this tension from building. And even when we're in the climax of the movie, it gets really crazy, and it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier, and just never stops. It's exactly what I wanted Beau is Afraid to be. Not saying that I didn't like that movie, but in a sense that it just keeps building and gets crazier and crazier as it goes along. This is the kind of thing that I love. This is the kind of thing that I want to see, and I thought it was excellent. And I like the music. It was very different and unique, and stood out, and it didn't drag the movie down. I thought it was something that gave it a certain feel to it. I'm not sure how to describe it specifically, vocally, what it means to me, but I can say that it did benefit the film overall, in my opinion, at least. I do like the idea how COVID is an issue in this movie, and it starts in May of 2020, right when it really hit everywhere, and there's a big mandatory and all that kind of stuff. And the movie does talk about politics at the time, and it's stuff that, oh, I actually grew up around the time when all this was happening, and I remember when all these things happened. And I didn't really feel the runtime all that much. I felt as though the pacing was pretty brisk, and every scene pretty much had a purpose for being there, and the movie never felt like it was wasting my time. And the characters are very interesting to watch, and there's a lot to them that make them compelling. And even the ones that don't have much screen time, they're still standout characters in the film, or at least in my opinion. And unfortunately, I can't talk about them too much because I'm afraid I'll accidentally get into spoilers. So, only so much that I can talk about in a spoiler free review. And I loved how this movie wrapped up and the entirety of the third act, and also with the characters just being completely insane. Like, oh, you're being exposed to these new ideas that, like, yeah, we took this land for ourselves, we stole it, and these kids are just being completely irresponsible with that kind of knowledge. And the movie acknowledges that, oh, look, you learned something new in social studies. Like, yeah, these are things that you should know, and how they just treat all this power. They're just completely irresponsible. And the movie is trying to poke fun at these things and to be very funny. And I did find the movie funny when it was trying to be funny. And as far as issues that I have with the movie, I did kind of feel as though there were too many characters in this movie, but I might not feel that way upon a second viewing. So we'll see if that changes for me or not. And my only other issue with this movie would be just the amount of product placement in this movie. And it just became a little bit too distracting for me. I was like, okay, can we tone it down a little bit here? It just got a little out of control, in my opinion. And also, one thing to mention, if we're talking about money, this movie had a $25 million budget and only grossed like $13 million, sadly. So not exactly what they were hoping for, but hopefully with physical media sales and people eventually checking this movie out, because I do think that it's a movie that deserves recognition and it'll age pretty well over time. Hopefully good things will happen from that. And one last thing to mention about this movie that I did kind of like, without spoiling anything, and this is feeding into the idea that this movie just gets crazier and crazier and crazier as it goes along, is that pretty much every character, without even realizing it, just keeps adding to the fire of the situation that they're in and just being completely oblivious to it. And that's kind of where I want to start talking about Emma Stone's character, but unfortunately I can't get into that, sadly. But the way it was presented in the film was done so in a way that subverted my expectations, is all I can say about it. So definitely check this movie out. Really loved it, and I honestly don't even know what else to say about it other than it's fantastic. Loved it. First Ari Aster movie that I saw that I really loved, at least in a long time, and we'll see how I feel about his other movies when I rewatch them, like Hereditary and Midsommar. Should probably also watch the director's cut of Midsommar at some point. But anyways, this movie was great. Really loved it. Love to watch it again. And I honestly don't know too many people who would walk away from this movie not being able to enjoy it. So definitely check it out whenever you get the chance. And it's currently on HBO Max. So if you want to watch it, there's a way to do so. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Eddington a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of Eddington, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Platoon. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.